And now, live from the TSC Towers, it's the UK's #1 pro wrestling radio show, The Squared Circle, with Lee Tyers and Andy Evans.
Hey, this is Kip James.
This is Rhino from TNA Wrestling.
Hey, everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man.
Hey, everybody, this is Michael Cole from Friday Night SmackDown.
Hey, this is Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and roller.
This is the hardcore legend, Mick Foley.
This is WWE's hottest diva, Candice Michelle.
This is the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
This is Sunny, the original diva of the WWE.
It's time to step into the squared circle and get it done.
This is the legend killer, Randy Orton. You're listening to the Squared Circle.
All right, we are live. It's TSC, the Squared Circle. Andy here, not joined by Sam, but joined by the man who tells it like it is from the good old days. It's Lee Tyers. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I haven't heard that intro in a while.
I know, that took a bit of editing.
It's like after I passed that one.
I did say before we went on air we were going to go a little old school.
Well, do you know what? I mean, I'm going to chuck this in as we're doing the nostalgia trip at the moment. We're looking at 18 years since the passing of Eddie Guerrero, which we're going to talk about very later on in the show. But 18 years to the day, it was the day Eddie Guerrero passed. I did my first ever wrestling radio show.
Bloody hell, you did, didn't you?
So, because I, nervous as anything, no plan or anything, and was just going to stumble through something on my own, and then. Wow, Eddie Guerrero died. I've got to talk about that now. And that was, baptism of fire. But weird coincidence. But it's great to be back. It's great to hear the old memories and just remembering some of the people we interviewed back then that I'd completely forgot about. Candice Michelle.
WWE's hottest diva.
Candice absolutely.
Of course, there's one person on there that maybe is not in the limelight as much. And we're going to touch on Sunny a little bit later on, but she's in there. But do you know when you and I started talking again a couple of years ago, you sent me all the audio files. We did something like 150 interviews.
In
the original run, and that's just the ones that we have.
Yes,
because there were Bobby Heenan. Yeah,
Bobby Heenan. I used to have the audio for, and if any of you have sort of had multiple computers and like hard drives and things over the course of the years, stuff inevitably gets lost. Bobby Heenan, Devon Dudley, I remember, was one that was really good. I mean, some of them from that era we've still got. Others have kind of fallen by the wayside. The Bobby Heenan one, though, I am absolutely gutted that we haven't got, because that was great, and he's such a nice guy. I always knew he would be because of the stories you hear everyone saying about him, but he's phenomenal.
It's a bit like with TWS. I did Bruno Sammartino.
Wow,
and it was about 70 minutes. I got remember when we do DDP.
Yeah,
you've got 10 minutes, and then about 2 hours later you come back and he's still answering the first question. Bruno was like that. I got told by his agent, you've got 15 minutes with Bruno Sammartino to promote the book, and literally about 70 minutes later we were wrapping up the interview. It was brilliant, but we lost it. TSC TWS team lost it. I was gutted.
Unbelievable.
Here he is, the man who tells it like it is, Lee Tyers. Welcome back to TSC, the show that you actually created.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a name from the past as well. I mean, that picture is pretty good. Got more hair in that picture than I have at the moment, but it's growing back. It's getting there. I mean, I'll for people that are wondering and haven't heard from me in other avenues, I will cover it off. You may have seen some stuff. I was quite unwell earlier in the year. I got diagnosed with cancer. I had to go through some intensive chemo. Andy, of course, was right there by my side, not physically, but virtually, checking in all the time, which was an enormous help. So publicly, thank you, Andy, for being with me there and rooting me along. Lost all the hair, shed loads of weight, and was very, very poorly for a while. But I'm back. I'm here. All the after effects are pretty much gone now, which is cool. So it's good to be back on air.
Mate, you're looking good, and there's no need to ever publicly thank me. You're more like my brother than you are a friend. So of course you would do anything you can. But anyway. It's good to see you back.
Let's talk about people fighting.
Yes, in spandex. Let's do it. Right, if you want to get we haven't lost a beat here, have we? If you want to get in contact with us, you can do via social media. It's down the bottom of the screen: Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Still can't get used to that. At TSC Wrestling Pod, using the hashtag TSCpod. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way and you want to drop us an email, you can do studio@squaredcirclepodcast.com. And if you want to keep up to date with what Lee's doing back in the world of podcasting, then you can check it out by going to where?
You can check it out by going to, if you go to YouTube, we're shuffling around website addresses at the moment, but go to YouTube, search for Piratecast or Piratecast Live. We go by there. It's a semi-regular, or for obvious reasons, haven't been very regular with the show this year, but in the process of reshuffling things and putting together a new plan for 2024, how it's going to work. It's not a big global thing. It's a show dedicated to the Pool Pirates Speedway team down here on the south coast of the UK. If you're into that sort of thing, come and check us out.
It's a cracking show. We've got a link to it on our YouTube channel, so you can click on that and go directly to Piratecast. All right, buddy, what we got coming up this week on TSC? We, of course, have got TSC Talking Point on Eddie Guerrero. We're going to go ask Chat GPT as well. We're going to ask Chat GPT to give us 5 questions on anything professional wrestling, any era, any promotion, any time, any topic. And we will do that as we're taping. Haven't run it yet. Don't know what the questions are going to be. Scared. We will answer them live. We've done this once before. It really worked.
Okay, we'll give it a go. I'm looking forward to that. See what happens. It's going to be good.
Oh, okay. We've also got Wrestling History, which is your favorite segment and mine as well. Yep. And we got some crackers coming up for you in Wrestling History this week. But we are, of course, going to kick it off with the news roundup of the week. Yes, it's back. Don't forget. Tickets on sale December 1st at ticketmaster.co.uk/AEW Wembley 2024 for All In London 2. Are you going?
I am definitely going. A word out there to listeners, make sure you have pre-registered as well, because you do get a couple of days in advance, or we did last time at least, get a couple of days in advance notification, and managed to get in there for some of the early bird tickets. I know 90% of people upgraded tickets close to the time anyway, but if you're one of those people that's proper anal about it and needs to get in there absolutely first, make sure you register. If you went last year, you should have had an email as well telling you to pre-register for tickets. So that just gives you the best opportunity to get the tickets you want.
That's my dilemma this year, because, we did that. I booked the tickets and then, as I said to you, upgraded about a week or 10 days before All In to, about row 100 or row 200 or something for the same price. And it was sat there thinking, why would you buy the tickets this early? I suppose
I mean, again, you're thinking it's going to be the biggest event in wrestling history, and it's going to be a sellout within 24 hours or something. You just dive in and you get any ticket you can. I left with I was watching Twitter and people saying I can't get on. It's breaking Ticketmaster and all of this. You just dive in, and I felt fortunate to get any tickets. I left there with me, I think, and originally 2 22-quid tickets, thinking, thank God I've got something. And of course, as we later found out, there were lots of sections that weren't on sale yet, and free upgrade, or not free upgrades, essentially free upgrades, but you could upgrade your seats. So be interesting to see if it does the same this time.
Just before we move on, because you haven't done TSC since it's come back, and it's been a while now. With the story about you going with your dad to Wembley back in August of 1992 for SummerSlam, you've now taken your son to Wembley for a wrestling event. What was that like, walking into the gates of the new Wembley Stadium 31 years later?
A bit surreal, to be honest. I mean, I've been to Wembley a few times sort of since SummerSlam 92. It was I went there and saw Bon Jovi in 1995 and then again in 2000. And I think both of those were in the old version of Wembley Stadium, and then of course it was rebuilt, and I saw a couple of a few NFL games over the years at Wembley, so it was kind of familiar walking back in. But knowing that you were there for a wrestling event, and again the very next wrestling event after SummerSlam 92, that was really something, and it felt really odd. I always assumed if wrestling came back to Wembley Stadium, obviously it was going to be WWE. Of course it would be. Who else could? TNA wasn't going to do it. It's ridiculous. There's no one possibly going to compete with WWE. It's got to be WWE. But then as we found out, the Clash at the Castle, they went to Wales and did their big event there, which was a weird decision, especially seeing as that was 30 years exactly from or in years wise, since SummerSlam 92. Thought that would have been great to go back to Wembley. But, fair play to them. AEW were there. They put on a hell of a show. I don't think you can really compare to the two, because back in 92, it was very much in the sort of cartoon era. You still had your Macho Man and your Ultimate Warrior. And yes, we had the Brett and Bulldog match, which was phenomenal, but you still had The Undertaker very much in full dead man character, and Kamala and Nails and people like that. Whereas All In was very much the athleticism and the sort of almost the New Japan style of wrestling on show. It wasn't all about the big stars. It was about the quality and the content that you were getting.
And also the last stand of CM Punk.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, depends who you believe. Is he coming back to AEW? Is he under the devil mask? Is he going to be at Survivor Series? Who knows? Or is he just going to disappear off into the sunset and we never see him again?
Well, sometimes it's better the devil you know, right?
Well, yeah, like the one in AEW.
Maybe. We'll find out on Sunday. Right. More on that coming up later. Right, let's get to some news, because as we do, the biggest news story is coming out of the week, and we're kicking it off with this one. Tammy Sitch, former WWE Hall of Famer, former WWE superstar, current Hall of Famer, someone that you and I had on this show back in the original days, I think twice.
When you say had, just interviewed, by the way, just to clarify.
Mate, Missy Hyatt wanted you.
Oh, yeah, true.
and I think Tammy Sitch did to a degree. You never know. She's going to be sentenced on 27th of November for multiple charges related to a fatal traffic incident in Florida back in March 22. The charges including DUI, causing death, which is manslaughter, causing death while operating a vehicle with suspended or revoked license, 4 counts of DUI, 3 counts of DUI causing property damage, all be stemming from the death of 75-year-old Julian Lasseter. Sentencing is scheduled for 9 a.m. on that day. Now, Tammy has entered a plea of nolo contendere. That's easier for me to say. That
No
acknowledges... Yes, basically. Yeah. Acknowledging conviction without admitting fault or guilt. The most severe charge, the DUI manslaughter, is third-degree felony in Florida, carrying a potential 15-year sentence with 4-year minimum and up to $10,000 in fines. She also faces sentencings for death while driving with a suspended or revoked license, which is 10.5 years. So in total, she could face over 25 years of prison time. I mean, it's... When you think about that, you can't quite put it into words.
No, I mean, you talk about kind of your dark side of the ring cases, and this is should be on the cover of every season of every DVD of that series. I mean, you can't get more from such a massive rise in 1996, 1997. She was up there, and the audience that WWE was going for at the moment was the sort of the teen males. She was. In a lot of instances, people didn't give a crap about the wrestling. They just wanted to see Sunny on the TV. She was, front and center of everything that WWE was doing. She was on all the ads. She was absolutely everywhere. And then to come from that, wasn't she the highest downloaded person in AOL or something at one point?
Yeah, she broke AOL at one point. I remember that news story coming out. Do you remember, One Night Stand? I think it was in 1997 when they came over to Birmingham, and it was the first live box office. And she came out to the ring, didn't do anything, just came out to the ring, did the ring announcing, and went to the back, but got one of the biggest pops from that crowd. Do you think that? I mean, I've been thinking this for a while now, but not really discussed it. Do you think she got let down by pro wrestling? Because, WWE have got the wellness policy and they do all this treatment and stuff like that. But she obviously had the substance abuse issues back in Ohio Valley with, SMW with Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Went to WWF. Obviously, Candido is a story that's been well documented on Dark Side of the Ring. She fell into that as well. ECW fell into that. WCW fell into that again. Back to WWE. Did pro wrestling let her down, or is it a case of you reap what you sow?
Little bit of both, I think. I mean, she had such a meteoric rise. I mean, she came in as Chris Candido's girlfriend. She didn't even want to be in wrestling. She just turned up and was his manager for a little while. And then, being at the absolute top, from some of the people you hear from, again, we've never met her personally. We've interviewed her. She seemed absolutely fine then, but apparently it did go to her head a little bit. And then when the star starts to fall, again, maybe she had problems with that. And from what we understand after that, she went back to ECW, which was a much smaller pond, and then got involved with a lot of the drink and the drugs and all that kind of stuff. And, she's had some small highs and lows, some peaks and valleys since then. But, the Hall of Fame being one of the sort of highest kind of peaks since then. But I don't really think she ever recovered from having to deal with being on the top and then dropping, and people manage things in very different ways. And again, the WWE, and we will talk about this with Eddie Guerrero, obviously the wellness policy, that was really the catalyst for that. But people will only use that help if they admit they need the help. And I think Tammy is one of those people who is very confident in herself and no, don't worry about it. I'm fine. I'll get through it. And just wouldn't refuse to admit she had a problem, and it's just spiraled down and down and down, and here we are.
But what about the Hall of Fame induction though? Because I mean, they've obviously always said that Benoit will never now not get inducted into the Hall of Fame because of the double murder suicide back in the day. There's been no sort of comment from WWE at all since this first broke back in March of 2022, which seems scary that it was over 18 months ago now that it broke off, that it happened. Will they, do you think, revoke the Hall of Fame status for Tammy Sytch if she gets sentenced to this maximum prison time that they're talking about? Because surely TKO are not going to want to be linked with someone like Tammy Sytch.
Exactly. I mean, the WWF that she was popular in is very different from the WWE and the TKO owned commodity now, World Wrestling Entertainment. At the end of the day, they've got shareholders to answer to. That it's a global brand, and you can't, WWE was big before, but what they're part of now is huge. I think they will very quietly remove her from the website, remove her from the Hall of Fame if they haven't already. I mean, they just because they haven't announced it doesn't mean she might. I'll have a check in a minute when we're talking on the next news item and see if she's on there. But again, it's a family sport or entertainment, at least. We've been hit over the head with that so many times. It can go PG, it dips its toe in every so often, but overall we're talking about a family product here, and kids that they're trying to send out positive messages to and all that kind of stuff. This is not the place for the Tammy Sytch that we're talking about now.
No, I totally agree. I mean, if when you talk about the highs and the lows and you talk about being the most downloaded in AOL, I mean, she had it all, and it's such a shame to see that fall from grace, especially when, like you said earlier on, she was such a lovely person to speak to. I mean, I remember that interview was done in the back of the car on her boyfriend at the time's cell phone, and they were on their way to a convention and got lost. The call disconnected halfway through, and then we had to reconnect it. So, it's shame how it happens. But we're going to find out at the end of this month just what is next for the artist formerly known as Sunny in the WWE. Now, on to brighter news. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the devil himself and the king of AEW, is involved in a new movie. And that film is Iron Claw, directed by Sean Durkin, released by the popular studio A24, is going to be released in theaters in the US and globally next month. Now, it tells the story of the Von Erichs and the triumph and tragedies that have plagued wrestling icons to this day. The AEW at the moment world champion plays the role of Lance Von Erich, but reveals in a new social media post that he's also an executive producer for the film. He adds that Iron Claw is a masterpiece before reminding fans of his showdown with Jay White at Full Gear this weekend. 27-year-old executive producer for an A24 movie and a masterpiece by Sean Durkin. Proud is an understatement. However, I don't have time to celebrate. I'm a man on an island surrounded by the enemy, and on November 18th will be my hardest obstacle yet. Let's go. # better than you. Are you looking forward to this film? Because personally, I cannot wait to see Iron Claw.
I am very much looking forward to it. I mean, when I heard someone as popular as red-blooded males sort of tend to put their nose up at Zac Efron, but at the end of the day, he's been in some huge films, some massive films, and putting his name to something that was about wrestling, it's still not thought of very highly in Hollywood, maybe more so now. It's got the sort of TKO branding behind it, but certainly WWE. But yeah, a wrestling film, and it looks very artistic. It looks very genuine. At the premiere, there's been lots of positive feedback for it. I can't wait to see it. I mean, in the mainstream WWE and sort of WCW at the time, we only really saw Kerry Von Erich as a member of the Von Erich family to be put really in the limelight, and of course, world champion beating Ric Flair in the NWA. Certainly from a UK perspective, we didn't get to see a lot of that world-class Dallas stuff where the Von Erichs are really dominant, and they had that great feud with the Freebirds, which you've seen clips of, but from what you hear about it, is absolutely legendary, and you could probably produce a whole documentary about just that one feud. So I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Zac Efron, I've seen some previews of it. I haven't seen it. Can't wait. Like you, can't wait to go see it. He looks the part.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and the hair as well. Looks very much like Kevin Von Erich back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely looks the part. And of course, you can't talk about Zac Efron without talking about his most iconic film.
You're not going to say High School. Oh, right. Thank God you didn't say High School Musical.
Oh, come on.
I've got kids. High School Musical is big in my house.
I've got kids. We haven't got that far yet. You'd realise, a bit of trivia, he didn't sing in the first High School Musical.
No, I didn't realise that at all. But fair enough.
That's how you could tell it was so bad in the second one.
Just flicking back to our first news item, at the moment she is still currently in the WWE Hall of Fame. Sunny is still in there, but keep an eye out. I think that will change very, very soon. Anyway, back to Iron Claw.
Back to Iron Claw. Can't wait to see this film. It's going to be great. In fact, maybe we should do a meet-up and you and I will go see Iron Claw.
That would be brilliant. I'd love to do that. Let's
do that. Last time we did that was the A-Team.
My God. Oh, what about Star Trek? When was Star Trek? We saw this first Chris Pine Star Trek. Was that before or after?
No, we didn't.
I was sure we did.
Maybe we did. That
I'm
was
pretty sure we did.
That was 2000. Yeah, we would have done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. So yeah, Chris Pine Star Trek.
All right, nice memory. You caught me out there. One person who is not worried about their spot in professional wrestling is Cody Rhodes, especially with the rumors that The Rock is returning at WrestleMania 40. Cody's basically turned around and said to Busted Open, nobody's asked me about The Rock. I think they've scared to ask me, or they don't want to be rude.
Yeah, I mean, it's after all the hype that happened, say a year ago, but WrestleMania just gone with Cody not winning the title and not finishing the story, and to which everyone sort of in the backstage of WWE said, well, who said the story finishes here? It's going to continue. So everyone's obviously expecting Cody to win, or at least be in the main event and have a championship match here at WrestleMania. The Rock, if he agrees to be in WrestleMania, his time is very, very, it comes at a real premium at the moment, hugely. So if they get the opportunity to get him on WrestleMania, they're not going to pass that up. And it only makes sense if The Rock comes back in to face Roman Reigns.
But it seems a bit of a nil point, though, doesn't it? Bring The Rock back, put him in a match against Roman Reigns for the title. You know damn well Rock's not going to win the world heavyweight title, the WWE Championship. So then, you've got all this build up for a non-title match in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What do you then do? Have Cody Rhodes come out and say, hey, hold on, I want a match, please?
Unless you do something like a WrestleMania 10 situation, where you had Lex Luger and Bret Hart. They both deserved a title shot against Yokozuna. So they flipped a coin to see which one goes against him first. You maybe have The Rock versus Roman on night one, while Cody goes against whoever, Seth Rollins, whoever. Rock loses to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns then goes on to second night of Mania to the main event and goes on against Cody.
Got it. I know what they're going to do.
Go on.
Right. The Rock is going to be entrant number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Then it will be Cody Rhodes, entrant number 29 or 21, because that's the Hulk Hogan spot, 21, and they will both eliminate themselves. Both feet will touch the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
Unless you look at various different camera angles, and then you'll see that Lex Luger's feet actually touched before Brett's. Swear to God that happened. and then they'll go to WrestleMania in a triple threat.
That could work. Yeah, triple threat could work. I mean, it would.
Your idea.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially if it would cover The Rock, because obviously he's not in ring shape. He's starting to break down a little bit physically. Hollywood is his main home now, but you could, if it's one of those 3-way matches where it was an elimination, you could leave The Rock in there for 5 minutes, and he does a few stare downs, he does all the classic bits, but eventually gets pinned by a quick spear and roll up from Roman Reigns, leaving then Cody and Roman head to head. Alternatively, you could do. Cody wants to go against Roman Reigns. Rock wins the Royal Rumble. And then, Rock and Cody are the main event of night 1. And the winner of that match then goes on to face Roman at night 2. Yeah, they could do so many things with it.
Now WrestleMania is a 2-night event. It does open up the possibilities, doesn't it? But I mean, do you want to see Cody Rhodes in the main event? Because they seem to have done in AEW and didn't pull the trigger when they could have done it this year at WrestleMania.
I think it's... The problem you've got now is everyone's expecting it. Everyone was expecting it at last WrestleMania, and everyone was disappointed when it didn't happen. And then WWE said, well, who's to say this? At some point, Cody Rhodes has got to win the World Championship in the name of Dusty, and you can't really have it anywhere else other than WrestleMania. But it's almost going to be anticlimactic when it happens because everyone is expecting it. They're just waiting for that trigger to be pulled. Every time he's in a title match, it's like, oh, here we go. This is going to be it.
I just hope they bring back the classic winged eagle.
That would be nice. That
It
would be nice.
nice.
The picture of I don't know if you saw it before WrestleMania, this year's WrestleMania. They created a new sort of hybrid American Nightmare World WWE Winged Eagle belt, which was rumored to be, they've made that. He's definitely going to win now because they've done the belt for it. But yeah, if that gets to make an appearance again for a little while, that would be awesome. Because again, it was Cody that brought back the white strap classic intercontinental belt back in the day. So if anyone's going to do that, bring back something similar in style to the Winged Eagle, it should be Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to Mania. I can't say I'm looking forward to some of the things that are coming up, but Survivor Series will be interesting with War Games.
Yeah,
but it's always exciting when you get on this road to WrestleMania from now. Really, to know what they're going to do, Survivor Series to set up for the Royal Rumble. You got to think LA Knight is going to be in the equation at some point because of Crown Jewel. But do they take the strap off Roman before WrestleMania?
I wouldn't. I mean, again, he's there. He's the face of WWE at the moment. I would absolutely. Again, this is if I was running WWE. My opinion. Other people will probably think different, but I would honestly have Roman Reigns with the belt on all your posters and all your promotions running to WrestleMania. It's got to the point now where he's in that Brock Lesnar position where people can almost see him and say, oh yeah, that's Roman Reigns, isn't it? That's the WWE champion. He's got the belt there. He's been champion or at least identified as main event or sometimes champion, sometimes not for the last however many years now. He's synonymous with the championship. So you have him on your branding. You have Cody Rhodes as your ultimate babyface going in. Unless you do something like, I don't know, sling The Rock in there as a special guest referee at Mania and Roman Reigns loses to Cody and Roman blames The Rock for the loss and they meet up at SummerSlam or something like that because they tend to put that in a big stadium now.
They do. That's kind of like the next big WrestleMania, isn't it? It's WrestleMania and SummerSlam on equal footing. There's rumors it's going to be a 2-night SummerSlam next year as well. So I hope not.
Yeah, it will take away the sort of the special feel of WrestleMania because having that over 2 nights is it's WrestleMania's thing now. It'd be a shame to do that at SummerSlam. It'd be nice to have two nights of it, but more wrestling is always good. But I think it will dilute it a bit and make WrestleMania feel a little bit less special.
Yeah. Anyway, something that is coming back, which is more special, is Tribute to the Troops, but this time it's a SmackDown special, and it's going to be taking place on... When is it taking place? Friday, December the 8th at 8 p.m. on Fox. It's been going since 2003. You and I covered it when it first started on the original TSC. And the one bugbear I've always had about Tribute to the Troops is, why is it just the American troops?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, especially seeing as you've got people on the roster now. I mean, back when they started it was 90% pure blood Americans
Yeah.
on the roster. You can kind of understand that. But now you've got, Nick Aldis is the SmackDown general manager. You've got, people like Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, the list goes on of, and the people who sort of rose up through NXT UK, some of those guys around now, Pete Dunne, people like that, Gunther from the European circuit. And yeah, it's more prevalent now that they should make it, a sort of, not the worldwide event, but to benefit troops from all around the world.
And what about the fact that it's the last few years they've come out of Iraq, they've come out of the war zone, they've done it in a house show setting, as in it's SmackDown on Monday Night Raw. I mean,
yeah.
I remember, back to 2004, 2005, where they were in Saudi Arabia or they were in Iraq, and you saw Steve Austin come out as Santa Claus in the desert. It had that different feel. It just feels like they're doing it for the sake of doing it now.
Absolutely. I mean, it was an event. You could see the troops at, when they did it in, built a ring, shipped a ring over to God knows where at the time, and put it up a little sort of little camp and had the event there. And you could see the troops physically at ringside enjoying it. And they put on, Stone Cold would come out, Mick Foley dressed as Santa, Austin would be stunning people anyway, just to get some entertainment out of it. But now it just seems they're doing it, and obviously there will be troops in attendance, but again, like you say, it's just another SmackDown, but it's going to have tribute to the troops written underneath it. And it loses a bit of that shine, I think,
which is a shame. And we're not trying to come across as being pessimistic, because
no.
The work they do is great. But when you're thinking about what's going on in Ukraine at the moment, when you think about what's going on in Gaza at the moment, and the tensions around the world, this is your Bob Hope moment, which is what JBL wanted it to be back when he came up with the concept. Go out there. And what I'm surprised about, and somebody will say, it's because he's a fanboy and all this type of thing. I am genuinely surprised Tony Khan hasn't jumped on this and done something for this global audience.
Exactly, and especially seeing as Tony Khan and his father own the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the NFL do a salute to service, they call it. All of the teams release team strips that are in the camo wear, and they have whole games dedicated to it. And the stadium is all it's got troops everywhere, and so he knows how well it can work and how much good it can do. Maybe he doesn't want to sort of appear as sort of riding on the coattails of WWE and immediately copying them, but it would be something that they could pull off quite well. And if they're going to do it, okay, this is your time. You do send people over to the camp, because again, these guys will be watching it overseas on TV rather than having a ring sat in front of them and having that entertainment. That's what it was all about originally.
That's exactly, the Vera Lynn moment, the Bob Hope moment, the actual going out there and entertaining the troops. But it's back anyway, December the 8th on SmackDown, available on TNT Sports. Mercedes Moné is back in the news one more time. Great. Yeah. She said, I'm over the moon about this. She says she can't wait to come back in 2024. I cannot wait to be in the squared circle. Don't count where I'm going to end up.
Yeah. It's clearly going to, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be WWE again at this stage. If she, she was obviously at All In, leaning sort of heavily to the fact that she was going to appear at AEW in some capacity. Sasha Banks, as she was in WWE, was good, but when she left WWE, they smoothed over the cracks, and the women's division just carried on without any stuttering at all. It was fine. She's big. I don't really know how she would fit into AEW at this stage. They need to focus on. I mean, I suppose she'd fit into the Jade Cargill slot that obviously she's left now. But again, the problem with AEW has been said by so many people is they've just got too much talent and not enough TV time. She'll come in as a lot of the other former WWE people or the big superstars and the big debuts. She'll be on telly for a couple of weeks and then she'll disappear, and we'll see her once a month on Collision or something in a little angle. It's a shame. She does deserve to be somewhere. She's good. She's proved that in WWE. She can't go back to WWE. AEW aren't going to be able to showcase her as well as she could, and I don't really think she wants Japan full time. She's always going to have that shine of she's a former WWE diva kind of thing. She's not going to be taken properly seriously. I know she's done a lot to kind of shed that persona, but still, I don't think Japan is the place for it. It's a shame.
But still, it doesn't matter how much you do to try and shed that image. Once you've been in that WWE ring, you are forever known as an ex-WWE. I mean, take Joel Redmond from the UK scene. Every poster you see him on states NXT. He was in there for a cup of coffee. I mean, literally a cup of coffee. Same with Sid Scala. You know, it's NXT UK, or Doug Williams is TNA.
Yeah.
The interesting thing... Sorry, go.
No, carry on.
I was going to say the interesting thing is Tony Khan, apparently a news report came out the other day, is making plays to get Eva Marie signed to the company because he considers her to be the person to save the women's division.
Ridiculous. I mean, she couldn't wrestle. She couldn't do any promos. She didn't really have much of a personality. She's obviously a lovely person, but if we're looking at pure skills that you need to work as a wrestler, again, from my perspective, she wasn't very good in the ring. She wasn't very good at promos. And I mean, it goes back to the Divas era. You know, she was eye candy. The main storyline I remember her being involved in was when she refused to wrestle and then, accidentally her top fell off. Like, great, brilliant. That's not going to cut it today in AEW, where they take the women's wrestling a bit more seriously.
I mean, yeah, but also the fact that they're taking it more seriously. They're considering her to be the future of the women's division. What about Britt Baker? What about Saraya? What about, Julia Hart, who's come out of nowhere? Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Ruby Soho, timeless Tony Storm, who is doing some of the best work.
That's ridiculous. She's come out of nowhere. I mean, she was great before, but she just sort of fit in amongst the shuffle. But she has just gone from here to superstardom, and she's embracing it. She's doing so well.
And I think the sales of oranges are going up as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially if you're Tony Schiavone. Talking about Tony Schiavone, we're not talking about him at all. We're talking about his former boss, Eric Bischoff, who made comments regarding NXT and the CW network, and Tony Khan refusing the offer to put Ring of Honor on there. I'm not going to go into detail on what he said because it's 83 weeks and you can download it on all good podcasters, along with pretty much any other superstar from Conrad Thompson's network. But it is interesting that Tony Khan was offered the chance to take Ring of Honor to CW and passed it up. And now NXT has gone to broadcast TV for the first time in its inception. What's your take on that? Because ROH has really done nothing since got bought by Tony Khan.
Yeah, it's kind of been an AEW Dark, or a version of AEW Dark. It sits there in the little soundstage and it has its matches, and it just exists really. The only thing I can think of is Tony Khan. The rumor is that they're looking into some sort of streaming service similar to WWE Network, which they will arguably, potentially, if they put all the previous AEW content and God knows what else content they would be able to get hold of to put on there. If they launch some sort of network and they're already too far down the line of organizing that to be, hang on a minute, put the brakes on, we're going to stick Ring of Honor on the CW network. You and I know, Andy, like both of us have had aspirations in the past to get onto, proper radio, FM radio and things like that. It's not that era anymore. So few people listen to real radio. It's now Spotify and podcasts and it's on demand stuff. So maybe, Tony Khan is a very forward thinking guy. Maybe he's starting to think now, who cares about a network? It's who's going to tune in at this time and this day to watch it. Let's stream it. Let's have it on demand. Let's have it on our own terms, on our own platform. That's what I would think is happening here. Is because it appears like a stupid move, but he must have a better option B, I think.
I'm always surprised when these broadcast deals are announced by WWE about, we've broken the records and NXT's on CW for 5 years and you can watch it live on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's like, why? I'll just watch it on the network 24 hours later.
Exactly. I don't remember. I think the only time, obviously, I was at All In, but the last time I watched wrestling live was when I stayed up to watch CM Punk's debut in AEW. And before that, it's WrestleMania. That's the only pay-per-view I watched live. There's nothing else really. I certainly don't plan my life around, oh my God, it's midnight, it's Monday night, I'm going to switch Raw on. it's so freely available in other mediums that there's just no point. You know, you can. People are busy. People are out and about. People are doing their own thing. If they've got a spare 2 hours, they'll sit down and they'll watch Raw, whatever time they've got available.
And it's the culture now, isn't it? It's the streaming wars. You know, you just crack on Netflix and chill. You don't talk about watching BBC One. You watch it all on iPlayer,
Yeah,
or you watch it on ITVX and Premium. You know, I don't watch AEW Dynamite or Collision on ITV4. I'll put it on ITVX and watch it with no ad breaks.
yeah, exactly.
It's brilliant, right?
Yeah,
So why would you want to say? I'm totally surprised. I think Bischoff has got good points, but Eric is very much about the Tony Khan hate camp
yeah,
at the
yeah,
moment, right? And
yeah.
you got to think how equal balanced is he in respect to those comments. But there you go. Ring of Honor is not going to CW Network. NXT is.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, yeah. Again, as I said, I hope Tony Khan knows what he's doing and he's got a plan B here. But you know, as well as I do, Andy, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we got together about, you know, because we're both content creators, we're both media creators, and how it's consumed and the live stuff. You know, we've both done live stuff, and there is a little bit of an extra buzz when you do things live, but it's almost no point because a lot of people, even if you do something live, it's live, but that will be on demand as well. You know, like TSC here, we're not live right now, but even if we were live, probably so few people would tune in to watch it because I'll catch it tomorrow because it'll be on YouTube. Yeah, / TSC Wrestling Pod, check us out, and you know you can, yeah, it's all there to watch in chunks as well. You know, oh, I'll watch half an hour of it before I go to work. I'll stick on the other half hour. It'll remember where I was when I get in. I honestly think that's it. If I'm betting money on it, it's an app or a streaming service or something for AEW.
I think you've got it right on the money there. Because you know, like you talk about TSC, our viewing figures have gone up tenfold since we got rid of the live aspect and just
Yep.
focused on this. Because, like you said, you can just watch it when you want to watch it. And some people, we're getting messages, we'll watch it on a Friday evening or something before SmackDown comes on, and
Yep.
that sets them up for the pay-per-view or whatever you're going to be. Right, that is it for this week. That's not it for the show. We've still got a lot more to do. I will say that. But that is it for the news. Coming up next, it's time for Talking Point. As Lee said, we're going to be talking about the legacy of Eddie Guerrero. Quite honestly, one of the greatest cruiserweights in history, and a man who was really underrated, I think, throughout his career.
Yeah, I'll certainly go with that. He's, you know, he obviously came into WCW in the Nitro era right at the start, where Bischoff was trying to bring in a lot more international faces to stock up a cruiserweight division. He really stood out as, you know, him and Rey Mysterio, of course, and Chris Jericho as major stars. Yeah, Benoit, of course, and yeah, kind of. I don't think at that point Bischoff was willing to give a lot of them any more time because they were still significantly smaller in that day than, you know, people like Hogan, Hall, Nash, Big Show, or the Giant as he was at the time, and they did look ridiculously small. You know, following that, there was the era of, you know, give the smaller guys a chance. You know, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart had sort of paved the way. And then you sort of got some more middle-sized people like your Austins. And, you know, Rock is a big guy if you walk down the street. But if you put him next to a Kevin Nash, you know, Nash is looking down on him. So the smaller guys really came into favor. And certainly when Eddie and Perry Saturn, Benoit, Dean Malenko moved over to WWE, that was where their careers really ignited. And yeah, again, it's yeah, I give the small guys a chance. Everyone was behind him at that stage.
It was really weird, wasn't it? Because, you know, you remember watching Nitro and seeing like Halloween Havoc. I think it was Halloween Havoc 97 with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio in the purple, which you can play on the WWE 2K23 this year as part of Showcase.
Yeah.
It was bloody difficult to beat Eddie
It
Guerrero.
was.
It took ages to beat Eddie Guerrero. And then you flip over to Monday Night Raw and you've got that shot with the Radicals, like Malenko, Saturn, Benoit, and Guerrero, just sat ringside. And that 1 30-second shot instantly made them look like superstars.
Yeah.
More than anything that WCW had done. And, you know, you talk about ECW. I mean, he was going up against, you know, Rey Mysterio and Benoit and Malenko in ECW.
Yeah.
That's how they got their pick up by WCW.
It's the ultimate sort of rising through the ranks,
Yeah.
ECW, WCW. I mean, it was a bit of a spot fest, obviously, in ECW, but they were trying to get noticed, especially when you've got someone like Bischoff, who was very public about bringing in lots of international cruiserweights that, as he always puts it, they wanted a cruiserweight match to open up the show. So it would be like, holy crap, what the hell is this all about? People flying around all over the place, as opposed to, what year was that? 1995. You've probably got people like Diesel sort of lumbering their way to the ring on Raw, and people who want a bit more fast-paced action, and it certainly worked. And after a time, they weren't getting their opportunities, and away they went up north.
I mean, you mentioned at the top of the show about it's 18 years ago since Eddie died, and when you first broke into podcasting, that this was your first topic, your first show.
Yeah.
Go back 18 years if you can. A lot's happened in that 20-year period.
Totally.
What was going through your mind when you heard the news about Eddie Guerrero?
Obviously, great performer. Happy that he finally got to the pinnacle of his career. He won the WWE Championship. Surprised about the news, but kind of not surprised. Surprised because you heard all about how he was in his depths, and he was his alcohol and drug abuse and all that kind of stuff. And then you hear someone turn their life around and get back on top, and you sort of think all that stuff is past them. But then obviously the impact that can have on the body. I mean, I know more than anything, putting stuff in your body, how much it can ruin your insides. But you then sort of think, okay, they're through that, but obviously, the scars were still there, and they took their toll at a later date. So it was very sad. It was very unfortunate, especially seeing as he had shed all of those demons and was kind of moving on with his life and having the most success of his career. But didn't really know how to translate it into a podcast at that point. I mean, I don't think I've got a copy of it anymore, but it was didn't really know what to say apart from read the news. Yeah.
Must have been difficult because I mean, even when we did about the Benoit, story, just trying to put that into, and we'd been doing it for a few years by that point, when that Benoit story came out. So credit for doing it. I mean, you look back on it now, what do you think is the highlight? If someone said to you, describe Eddie Guerrero's best moment, what would it be?
It's difficult. I mean, it's between, torn between two for me. Number one is him obviously winning the championship from Brock Lesnar. Amazing. If you look at the crowd, they're all, they're literally on their feet, jumping up and down because it was so unexpected. There was no way Eddie Guerrero, this former WCW cruiserweight, was going to beat Brock Lesnar, who literally tears people in half. It wasn't going to happen. Of course, it kind of came off the heels of of Goldberg getting involved, so it was a little bit of a hollow victory. But just the celebration of Eddie winning the championship was amazing. Secondly, it's difficult to think about it because it was at the end of WrestleMania 20 and Chris Benoit was there with his family, and it's always going to be tarnished because of that. But the two of those guys stood in the ring at the end of WrestleMania 20 with their respective world championships. Again, something 5 years or so before that you wouldn't have thought would have even been possible, seeing those two guys in a WWE ring holding two world championships. And then obviously what happened to Eddie and then what happened to Benoit a couple of years later, it's nigh on impossible to watch that ending of that pay-per-view now without some very, very conflicting feelings.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly natural, isn't it? I mean, where do you go with that one?
Yeah.
But for me, I think it's watching an episode on Bravo. I don't know if you remember Bravo TV channel with Tommy Boyd, and he did that wrestling revival show in the Coventry Skydome.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the music hit, and out came Eddie Guerrero. And the crowd, I mean, it was a small independent, but the crowd went absolutely nuts. And you were sat there going, this is the beginning of the comeback trail for Eddie Guerrero. Because not long after that, he got re-signed to WWE.
Yep.
And then he won the world strap, which was that pinnacle of that journey. And after he won that world strap, he seemed to be in a different stratosphere. You talked about earlier on about someone going to the mega stratus, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened to Eddie Guerrero after he won the world title, because it didn't matter what he did then. He went into the light cheat and steal gimmick. He tagged up with Chavo. He did the low riders and did the feud with Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
It was Eddie Guerrero happy.
Yes. Yeah, and you can see that in his face. You know,
Yeah.
before he was, you know, while he was fighting his demons, he would come. You know, I know he was a heel and he was playing a character, but there was when he returned to WWE, he kind of had that shine behind his eyes and a bit of a spark in his performance, and you can tell he really enjoyed being there rather than just going through the motions to get a paycheck, which at times I feel he was when he was, you know, in some of his low points. But yeah, the last run of Eddie Guerrero in WWE was just enjoyable to watch because you could tell he was enjoying himself.
Where would he be now? Would he still be in WWE, or would he have jumped to AEW? Or
he would. I don't think he'd have. I think he's quite a WWE loyalist because of what WWE did to him. But then again, having said that, Adam Copeland's in AEW now, so you know, who knows? But I'd like to think that I think some of the things he put his body through, I think he would have been retired a few years now, but it would have been nice to have seen him dive in with the Ray and Dominic storyline and see what would have happened there. Again, he could have busted out a frog splash every so often, or you know, done his whole throwing a weapon at someone and laying down to get the referee think he's been knocked out by his opponent, you know, something like that. I can only imagine the sort of antics and little angles and storylines you could get him involved with. It'd be brilliant.
I mean, he's Dusty, isn't he? In terms of the mind and what he could do and the way he could have got the crowd involved. So to have him as a producer or as a trainer in developmental at NXT would have been phenomenal. But without a doubt, I mean, he is a legend. He is a certifiable Hall of Famer. And yeah, you know, Eddie Guerrero, 18 years, it's gone fast. Got to admit, it has gone very fast.
Absolutely, and you know, the industry has changed massively since then. I mean, we were, you know, WWE was a thing. We were in the early days of TNA at the time, and you know, look where we are now with WWE being. Well, yeah, it is coming back, and you know, and AEW kind of. You know, nipping at the heels of WWE. They're nowhere near, but you know, they're a big, solid secondary wrestling promotion, which we didn't really have at the time. So yeah, wrestling's exploded.
Who plays Eddie Guerrero in a biopic of his life?
Wow, that's good.
I know. Thanks. That just literally came to me.
I hadn't thought of that. That's You're gonna have to come back to me on that one. I'm not sure. There's going to be someone, but I can't think who it is. Yeah, there'll be a lot of dead air. Yeah, there'll be a lot of dead air.
Yeah, we'll come back. Right, we're going to move on. So that was remembering Eddie Guerrero, certifiable legend. Let us know what you think of the legend that is Eddie Guerrero across social media. TSC Wrestling Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Threads, and X. Does anybody actually use Threads anymore?
I used it for 24 hours, and then I was like, well, this is, and then I just got loads of alerts on my phone. Oh, this person has joined Threads. This person has joined Threads. I don't really care anymore.
And then it went quiet. Like Clubhouse. Remember Clubhouse?
Yes, yeah. You sent me an invite to Clubhouse, and again, similar sort of thing. I used it for a little while, and then was like, well, no one else is really here. So
yeah, I buggered off pretty quickly. It got a bit boring. It was just all the same stuff. Yeah. Right, let's move on. So we are going to go to Ask Chat GPT. So I'm going to open up Chat GPT now. So we're going to go to Chat Open AI.
Have you ever asked it to write plots for movies and things?
Yes. I asked it to write a full promo for TEW for Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
Nice.
For the AEW Championship, because I modded it.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. I've got a full sequel to the Goonies that it's written. It's brilliant.
Send it off. Get it done.
I think it's how many other people would have done the same thing and have got exactly the same result.
Possibly. But, you know, it would be intriguing. Can you imagine that Goonies 2, written by Lee Tyers and
directed by
directed by Sam Mendes. Right. So, ChatGPT, ask me 5 random wrestling questions to have a discussion about any era, any company, any performer.
Wow.
Sure, let's dive into some wrestling discussions. It is what it says. Greatest Survivor Series match. In your opinion, which match stands out as the greatest in Survivor Series history and what makes it memorable?
Wow. I
This is where
mean,
dead air comes into it now. 'Cause
there's only one for me, to be honest. And it's got to be Survivor Series 1990, the debut of The Undertaker. It
wow.
was the Dream Team, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, and the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, against the $1 Million Team, Ted DiBiase, Rhythm and Blues, which was Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine, I think it was them, and a
Yeah.
mystery opponent, which Brother Love brought out the Undertaker. Just for the pure, I mean, the match itself was okay. The last sort of 5 minutes where it was just Brett and $1 Million Man was unbelievable. Check that out, Survivor Series 1990. But you know, the significance of the Undertaker coming out the first time you saw him, and you know, that was his proper entry into the WWE. For significance alone, it's got to be that.
Wow.
What would
Okay.
you say?
I'm going to go a little bit later.
Go on.
So I am going to go to Survivor Series of 1994.
Yeah,
And it's going to be the Hart family against Shawn Michaels and his Knights. Of course, you had that whole controversy about Shawn Michaels claiming to be the real Intercontinental Champion after being stripped. You had the Knights, and then you had Owen Hart being the only person eliminated, which set off that cracking storyline between brother versus brother, Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble 1994, the tag match, WrestleMania 10, that opening closing bookending with Owen beating Brett and then Brett winning the world title at WrestleMania in the main event, and the whole crowd when the ring announcer is going from Calgary, Alberta, crowd going nuts, and then Owen comes out and instantly crowd turned and were
yeah,
booing.
yeah.
And then obviously SummerSlam with the steel cage
Steel
match
cage
between
match. Yeah.
him and the Hitman. Brilliant, just for the storyline setup alone.
And originally, of course, that match was going to be the Hearts versus Jerry Lawler and his Knights.
It was, yeah.
But Jerry Lawler was suspended at the time because I think he was. There'd been some accusations against him. I don't want to go into that now, but he was, let's say, having some time off from WWE. But it was very, very close to the pay-per-view. So Shawn Michaels just dived straight in, and yeah, it was Shawn Michaels and his Knights against the Hart family. Yeah, really memorable one. That was good.
Oh, I love it. Survivor Series. I'm actually going to do, in a couple of weeks, we are going to do the top 10 Survivor Series matches of all time. So maybe.
Well, I mean, the one you've got to include, which is one that only ever happened once, again, Survivor Series 1990, which is the grand finale match of survival, only ever happened that one time.
Maybe, if you're free, we should do the top 10 Survivor Series matches.
I'm happy with that. Yeah, sounds good to me.
There's the live plug. Oh, I know the answer to this one straight away. Favorite tag team of all time. Tag team wrestling has produced some iconic duos. Who is your all-time favorite tag team, and what matches or moments define their greatness?
Right, you can take this one first.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, geez. I know. I don't know. For you, I was going to say Demolition, but I think, damn it, I don't know. The Hart Foundation.
Okay. What would you say the highlight or the pinnacle of their run was?
Now you are putting me on the spot. The 6-man match at WrestleMania 3 against the British Bulldogs with Danny Davis and Jimmy Hart at ringside was great. And then you slowly saw them turning into this brilliant face tag team until WrestleMania 6, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes all the way through to WrestleMania 7 with the Nasty Boys and that, and Jim Neidhart with them, and
yeah.
Just, it's everything about it. Bret Hart doing the most stoic, normal performances and promos that he always does. You know what? Let me tell you this. I am the best there is, best there was, and I am the best there ever will be. Yeah. Sorry.
It was classic. Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, for me, I would say, again, I'm going to go old school. There are so many you could choose from the sort of late 80s, early 90s, but you nailed it. I'm going to go Demolition. The original Demolition, Axe and Smash. I'm not going to include Crush in this because they massively went downhill when they brought Crush in as the third man. and the iconic moment from that tag team. And ironically, the reason why I wanted you to go first was so I could drink a bit more of my drink, because I have a Hard Rock Cafe Sky Dome
Wow.
Toronto glass here, which I've been drinking Coke out of for the evening. My moment is WrestleMania 6, Sky Dome Toronto. It was my first experience with, they do the top 10 list of the biggest pops of all time, where so it was Demolition against the Colossal Connection, Andre the Giant and Haku, managed by Bobby Heenan for the tag team championships. Haku accidentally kicks Andre the Giant in the face. He goes backwards and falls in the ropes, and he's all tied up. Bobby Heenan's trying to release him from the ropes. Demolition a double team in Haku, beating the heck out of him, do the finishing move. When that hand of the referee hits the mat for 3, the place just explodes. And there's a few different versions of the audio, because I don't think for a while WWE had the rights to the original Demolition theme song, and you lost some of the audio in there. But if you can get the original feed of WrestleMania 6, the noise when they won was just absolutely amazing. But just a shame they kind of went heel slowly and brought in Crush shortly afterwards.
And of course, the end of that match with Andre doing the paintbrush on Bobby Heenan in the cell, and he's going up that cart back to ringside that you didn't see since WrestleMania 3. One thing about Demolition was the managers that Demolition had, right? So if you think they had they had Mr. Fuji.
Yep.
They had the one who managed the Warlord in the Barbarian, which I can't remember what his name was.
The Baron. It was Baron von Raschke, just with a hood over.
Yeah. And then, Crush.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Crush came in, again, a little bit of trivia if you don't know. They brought in a third member of Demolition who was Crush, Brian Adams, who always went by the name of Crush as he went on with his various personas. But he was brought in due to Bill Eadie, who was Axe from Demolition. He had a heart problem and was told that he couldn't, work at the rate that he had been in future. So Axe would work sparingly. Again, going back to Survivor Series 90 again, he was on Mr. Perfect's team. It was Mr. Perfect and 3 members of Demolition. Axe went out within the first 30 seconds, essentially, and that was just a way of eliminating him quickly without him having to do anything major.
And then very quickly wrapped up Demolition, and Barry Darsow got repackaged as the Repo Man.
Yep.
And Crush is Kona Crush.
Yep. And they wrestled each other at SummerSlam 92.
They did.
Which I thought was really odd. So, but they didn't refer to it as that.
No, I know.
So
all right,
weird.
It is, but that's wrestling at the time. Who is the most underrated performer? So wrestling has its share of underrated talents who might not have received the recognition they deserved. Who, in your opinion, is an underrated performer that more people should know about?
Okay, now purely because I was listening to him on a podcast earlier, and this is a bit of a weird one. So Jim Ross has obviously had his health issues over the last couple of years. So Conrad's been putting out some of his old radio shows, like when he used to do his old FM show when he was with WCW, and then when he was with WWE. And the one I was listening to today had Terry Taylor in the studio. At the time, he was Terrence Taylor. He was working for the York Foundation, that were all like Alexandra York, who was Terry Runnels, would walk around with a computer and sort of program, what the best way to win was and all that. But I love Terry Taylor. He was, if you watch some of his performances in the ring, whether it was as Terry Taylor, as the Red Rooster, as Terrence Taylor, or the Tailor-Made Man in WCW, he's one of those guys who didn't really have the charisma or the persona to sort of reach that next level. He was always kind of that mid-card guy. But I always thought that, given the right opportunities and if he was used correctly, he could have been bigger than he was. That one's a bit out there, but that's what I'm going with.
You're clucking to the far reaches.
Gotta love the Red Rooster, especially the theme tune.
Oh, the theme tune was amazing. If only
it's on Spotify.
Yeah, I know. But if only you could play it on YouTube, I'd be going out with it right now.
That would be good.
I'd be banned. I'm going to go for the most underrated performer. Go with me on this. Marty Jannetty. So,
okay.
Marty Jannetty, everybody knows as the tag team with the Rockers. He was the elder statesman. Shawn Michaels was the younger guy, but Jannetty had his demons and he was all over the place
Yeah.
and kind of took Michaels down that path. As a solo performer, though, back
Mm.
in 1993, after he got shoved through the barbershop window and came back, he could work and he
Yeah.
could go. And if he had just been able to have kept himself clean and kept the demons away, I think Jannetty could have made quite an impact, because you watch those matches back, not only as the new Rockers, but also as the Rockers and the singles run with Shawn Michaels.
Mm.
He was great technical worker. He could hold his own, but he also had that high flying ability. So he was about 5 years too soon, really, in terms
Yeah.
of his career. So I would go Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, that I go with that. I mean, again, if he didn't have those demons and he had a consistent run, it seemed to me in his singles run he was only there to be an opponent for Shawn Michaels. Like
Yes.
it was the Rockers feud. After that happened, what do we do with Marty Jannetty? And he
Yeah.
was in a tag team with 1-2-3 Kid. He floated around with Razor Ramon for a bit, but again, because he kept coming and going because of various issues. If he'd had a consistent run, I think, you would have seen a lot more from him.
Yeah, I mean, he was Leif Cassidy's tag partner as well.
Exactly. Yeah. The new Rockers. That was weird.
The new Rockers. Oh yeah, let's not go there. All right, okay. Dream match scenario. If you could create a dream match between any two wrestlers from different eras or promotions, who would they be, and why do you think it would be a classic?
Oh, okay. Roman Reigns.
Ooh, okay.
Current modern day Roman Reigns defending the WWE. I'm not going to do Universal, the WWE World Championship against 1990 Hulk Hogan.
Oh, you had to go there.
Yeah.
You had to go. You've seen the graphic, right?
No.
Roman Reigns, longest reigning WWE champion.
Oh, that. Yeah.
42 defenses. Hulk Hogan, 1,000 something.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great. I mean, he's your classic Hulk Hogan opponent. He's big. He looks evil, and like he could really tear Hogan apart. It would be your classic Hulk Hogan match with Hogan at the end, coming back, hulking up, doing the big boot, the leg drop, and the pin, and winning the championship. That's. I mean, again, everyone has their different opinions. Everyone has their favorites. That would be mine.
Yeah, I think that would be a good match, actually. It wouldn't be a good match. It would be an interesting match.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with classic Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels singles run.
Yep.
And Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Ooh, the promos would be amazing.
The promos would be electric. And then the in-ring action as well. Because, they can both go. And we're going to see that this Saturday night at Full Gear, when MJF defends against Switchblade Jay White for the title.
Yeah.
But they can still go. And like you said, the promos will be electric. We could see how good he was when he promoted against Regal and CM Punk.
Yeah.
And you know what Michaels can do in that squared circle.
Absolutely.
Add in the X factor as well of Sherry being at ringside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be good. That would be very, very good. Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. Yeah, that is really good. Stick them on the same card.
Yeah, perfect. That's a dream card if you ever got one. Last one, greatest wrestling rivalry. So rivalries are a cornerstone in professional wrestling. Which rivalry do you consider the greatest of all time, and what moments or storylines made it stand out for you? And I think we take McMahon, Austin off the table.
Yeah, I mean, that was one that changed the industry, or certainly changed the WWF and picked it up from almost near implosion to being, within a couple of years, just a multi-million-dollar. I'm going to go Hogan Savage. The whole Mega Powers forming after WrestleMania 4. Hogan helped Savage win the WWF Championship. Goes all the way through SummerSlam, all the way through to WrestleMania 5, the inevitable breakup. Savage thought Hogan was going after Elizabeth, and he was the star of the team and all that kind of stuff. And then, they had the big main event at WrestleMania 5, Hogan beating Savage for the title. Hogan Savage for me, definitely.
I'm going to go with Hogan, and I'm going to go Hogan Warrior.
Okay.
So, you think about the Royal Rumble 1990.
Yeah.
That first interaction where they did the crisscross and they did the double clothesline, which both took them out.
Yeah.
Then you move forward to the Warrior, winning the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
In the Sky Dome in Toronto, you know,
Yeah,
your favorite pay-per-view. We covered that on a retro chat available on this channel
we did.
a while ago. So you've got that match, and then you shoot forward nearly 20 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it was,
Yeah,
to WCW when they did
it was
Ultimate
Halloween Havoc
Warrior
'98, I think, wasn't it?
98. So 8 years ago. What am I
Yeah.
talking about 20 years ago? Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, which went completely wrong.
Yeah, I think Warrior said at one point Hulk Hogan was his best match ever and his worst match ever. And yeah, it's very weird to say, but he's very upfront about it that the match was terrible. So yeah,
And the promo on Nitro was meant to have gone 5 minutes and lasted something like 20.
yeah, it's
And
not
they
comfortable
overran.
to watch.
No, it's not comfortable to watch. All right, that is Ask Chat GPT. I love that. I love that segment because you
That's
never know
good.
what you're going to get, and it's completely out there. Right. Okay. So, what happened in this week in wrestling history, Lee? Do you know?
I don't know. Tell me about it.
Okay, I will tell you about it. Good link. Well, we're going to kick off to November to Remember 1993. And you might be wondering, what the hell? Well, this took place on November the 13th. ECW held their first ever November to Remember live event in Philly. The main event was a winner-take-all match between ECW champion Sabu and Road Warrior Hawk, taking on Terry Funk, who was the television champion, and King Kong Bundy. Whichever wrestler got the pin or submission would take both the heavyweight and the TV titles. During the match, Bundy turned on Funk and hit him with the Avalanche Splash, allowing Sabu to get the win and both titles. Now, this is before pay-per-view. So this is still Eastern Championship Wrestling, right? Because it didn't become...
Yeah, it wasn't extreme at this point, and it was, it was in the era where they were just trying to grab any kind of name and put them on a card, just so you can, you've got some draws. But yeah, so it seems like such a weird mix, knowing what you know now about some of these people, like Sabu, obviously still very early in his career, but some of the stuff he's done. Terry Funk, obviously, only 4 years past his classic match with Ric Flair for the NWA Championship. King Kong Bundy, again, not that long away from or past his big feud with Hulk Hogan. And then randomly Road Warrior Hawk. I think at that stage, Animal was in Japan tagging with Kensuke Sasaki in New Japan, and just left Hawk at a bit of a loose end again. Hawk had his own substance problems at the time as well. So a really weird mix there. But yeah, I mean, it kind of worked.
And it was only then a couple of years later, Terry Funk's back in WWE as Chainsaw Charlie against Mick Foley, and King Kong Bundy is facing off against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Thank you, Todd Gordon. Moving forward, it was the final Saturday night's main event on November the 14th of 1992. Ed on Fox was broadcast on TV with Shawn Michaels beating the British Bulldog to win his first championship in the WWE. This was the IC title. The main event of the night saw Papa Shango submit to the Hitman Sharpshooter in the championship match. I mean, this is a Saturday night's main event which Collision has really modeled itself on, hasn't it? Because the coldo promos at the beginning, going into the title, and then straight into action. And this is one SNME you keep going back to watch, because that match between Shawn and the Bulldog was a classic.
It was great. And again, I think when Shawn Michaels turned heel, when he put Marty Jannetty through that window, he got Sensational Sherry as manager. You knew he was primed for big things, and you were just waiting. The next thing for him is surely got to be the Intercontinental title. Seeing him win it, even though we're British and we're supposed to support the British Bulldog, I think really once Wembley was over and Davey Boy was back in the States, I think his days were numbered really as Intercontinental champion. He didn't really fit in the US WWF model as your ideal Intercontinental champion. So sticking it on Michaels was great. And then of course this was literally days before Survivor Series, where it was supposed to be a champion or just a WWF championship match between Shawn Michaels challenging Bret Hart for the title. And of course, then Michaels comes in as Intercontinental Champion as well. So just 2 and a bit years after WrestleMania 6, Intercontinental Champion versus WWF Champion with Hogan and Warrior. You've now got it again with Bret versus Shawn. And again, a sign of things to come and the start of their rivalry that kind of culminated 5 short years after that in 1997.
And of course, the stipulation for that match was a ladder match. It was the first time the ladder match had been on either TV or pay-per-view at that point. And of course, that was a Shawn and Bret original concept.
Yeah, the match at Survivor Series wasn't actually the ladder match, but Shawn and Bret did do a ladder match on a house show, but that one was just a standard in-ring match. There we go.
And this is why I'm no longer called the King of Wrestling Trivia. No, that's fine. No. Thank you. That's all good. That's all good. But if I'm right, and I'm now doubting myself, that Survivor Series was the first pay-per-view not to have any traditional Survivor Series matches on it.
Because it was
single tags.
Yeah, because you had Warrior and it was supposed to be Warrior and Savage against Razor Ramon and Ric Flair. Warrior got fired a few days before, so they brought in Mr. Perfect to tag with Randy Savage. I think you're right. I've got a weird thing in my head about some sort of 2 tag teams against 2 tag teams.
Well,
like Bushwhackers and I don't know. Yeah. Let's not talk about Survivor Series now, but yeah, a lot of wrestling to think about.
That's a lot. Yeah. Well, we'll find out, but I think it was definitely up there. Talking about Survivor Series, though, because it's our last one, it was Survivor Series 98. The Deadly Games tournament took place on November the 15th in St. Louis, Missouri. It didn't feature any traditional Survivor Series matches. Yeah. Maybe this was the one. Instead, the event played host to Deadly Games to crown the new WWF champion. Going into the event, the story depicted Mankind as Vinnie Mac's chosen winner, as McMahon's gang of lackeys helped him through the rounds while seemingly to attempt to put barriers in the way of The Rock and Steve Austin. However, it would transpire it was an elaborate ruse, as The Rock turned out to be Vince's chosen one, as he defeated Mankind with the sharpshooter in the main event, as Vince McMahon brazenly reenacted the Montreal Screwjob from just 1 year before.
Yeah, and would be rehashed multiple times over the years following. Yeah, I mean, this was it was great, regardless of the fact that they used the Montreal Screwjob again as a finish. It was, the Rock's heel turn. I mean, the Rock was really starting to pick up heat or steam as a face at the time, and again, you were starting to think, well, this is going to be the guy. This is the new face of WWE. He's catching up on Austin. He's people are cheering for him, and then he turns heel at the end against Mankind, and it wasn't great. It was because of the sharpshooter finish. But it's a shame The Rock went heel. But again, at that point, really launched him up to main event status.
But then, of course, 3 years later at WrestleMania X7, Austin went heel in the match between Austin and The Rock. So it was kind of tickle-tat.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have been around this business for a long time now, doing podcasting and all that type of thing. A pay-per-view purely on a tournament. Does it work?
It's no, it doesn't, to be perfectly honest. I mean, and I think that's why we don't see King of the Ring anymore. Just in the traditional format with the one night tournament, you get bored with seeing the same talent all the time. Someone, especially if you're doing sort of quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals all on the same night, like they used to do with King of the Ring. If The Rock came out in round 1, brilliant, amazing. Second time you see him, oh, it's The Rock again. By the time he comes out for the final, whatever, it's The Rock. I don't really care anymore. You've kind of, you want to cheer for people coming to the ring, but once it's the same talent all the time. It doesn't have that same vibe. So by the time you get to the final, which should be the highlight of the whole thing, the crowd doesn't really care anymore.
And also, I suppose, if you think about The Rock and Austin being on pay-per-view and they both get through to the final, I'm just thinking because I can't remember it happening. Take King of the Ring out of it.
Yeah,
I can't remember it happening too many times. I mean, it was WrestleMania 4, 88, for the World Championship. Of course, Macho Man beat DiBiase, became world champion, thanks to Hulkster, and then Survivor Series 98.
I can't think of any others, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you had like the Cruiserweight Classic, but again, that wasn't on one night. They spread it out over over different events and different shows. But yeah, this is. I mean, again, I know it's been said multiple times, and people from WWE have said or have been asked why you don't do tournaments anymore, and it is that for that very reason. It's just too hard on the crowd, and the crowd just they lose interest.
They could have turned it into a 10-year tradition.
Yeah,
1988, 1998. They could have done one in 2008, 2018.
2018, and then we're due for one in another 5 years.
Oh, great. Yeah, hopefully I won't be doing this at that point. As in talking about professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's this week in wrestling history. That is this week's Squared Circle.
Love it. That's been good. I've enjoyed that.
It's been great having you back on the air.
It's been nice being back on the air, and especially talking about wrestling as well, because I haven't done that in a while.
I know. So when are you coming back? When you back on? When do you want to come back on?
Whenever you want me. I'll see if I'm available, and I'm sure I can make some time. Not a problem.
Awesome. Okay, so we will get that in the books. We are, we are, of course, talking about the top 10 Survivor Series matches. We will get Lee on for that. This Saturday is AEW Full Gear live on pay-per-view in the US, or on Fight over here in the UK. Very quickly, who's going to win, MJF or Switchblade Jay White?
It's going to be a great match, but MJF's got to walk out. MJF is so good. He is just so good. And Jay White, he is a phenomenal performer, a phenomenal in-ring performer, but I can't see him as AEW champion. MJF right now for AEW is where the title should be. And I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I'm not sure what the latest is on Adam Cole or how long he's going to be out, but I reckon MJF is holding on to that belt until Adam Cole comes back.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not. He is already the longest reigning AEW world champion in history. Beat are they going for a Roman Reigns record?
Yeah, potentially.
I wonder if Adam Cole's injury is as bad as what everybody's making out, and the devil mask is Adam Cole.
That could be good. Yes. Yeah. That could work.
That long-awaited heel turn.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point. Although it still feels weird with MJF being a sort of kind of face, but he's still a bit of a dick. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
That's why we all like him. That's why we like the better the devil,
True.
It's going to be good, Lee. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been brilliant having you back on the Squared Circle. Going back down with the retro intro.
It's been awesome being here.
And seeing what we do. We'll get you back on in a couple of weeks. When is Pirate Cast back? When are you and Ben doing another show?
At this stage, we haven't really discussed it yet, but we're looking at 2024. Again, some changes to it. We're looking, or I'm at the moment got some plans in place to make it a bit more regular and some different angles on things. So next time I come on for Survivor Series, I might have a few more updates.
Amazing. Can't wait to do it. And you can check out Pirate Cast on YouTube. Click on the link on our YouTube channel and it will take you straight through, or search for Pirate Cast. And if anybody has got a copy of that Bobby Heenan interview from TSC Archives, please, I've only asked for the last 12 years, send it across. You never know. And also, we didn't say this at the top of the show, but congratulations go to you and to your lovely fiance. Got engaged a couple of weeks ago. So many, many congratulations from all of us here, from me and my wife and my little one and Sam and everybody else.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, happened in the middle of the North Atlantic, not on a Titanic with on a door or anything, actually on a cruise ship. So yeah, it was awesome. It's been a long time coming, and we did it. So thank you very much.
Congrats. It was good to know there was no icebergs around when you weren't on the SS Titanic. That's always a good win. Right, we're going to be back next week with more of the Squared Circle. Until then, stay tuned. In fact, I will be back later this week with a very quick Full Gear preview, and I'll give you the predictions for both Sam and I, and Lee, if he fancies letting us know what his predictions are, and we will do those this week. Back next week with more TSC. Lee will be back either next week or in a couple of weeks to talk Top 10 Survivor Series. Mike McGuire is going to be coming on the show from McGuire on Wrestling, and Joel Ross is also going to be coming on, formerly of Wrestle Talk TV, now works for big commercial stations here in the UK. Joel will be coming on to talk classic retro wrestling. So maybe we'll do a three-way, and we'll talk about maybe Survivor Series 1990.
Oh,
Who knows?
yes. Love that.
We'll do that. We'll get that in the book. So that's coming up over the next couple of weeks. Until then, I'm Andy Evans. That is the man who tells it like it is, Lee Tyres, and we will see you next week right here. See you at the matches. Where's the intro? There it is. See you very soon. Take care for now.